Hello and welcome, and thank you for watching. My name's Peter Apostolou, and in this video I'm going to give you 15 steps to a new career in IT. As technology automates more of our everyday processes, I can't think of a better industry to be in. It's rewarding and it's challenging, and one of the most resilient industries out there right now. During these times, many people, like you, will be looking at ways to secure their employment over the next few years. Now is a good time to learn skills for the future, to help you secure a rewarding career. No matter what your current education, qualifications or experience, in this video I'm going to outline the steps that you need to take to get your ideal job in IT and start a career that you will enjoy and keep working in for many years to come. Step 1. Motivation is the key. You're going to be spending a lot of time learning because learning is the key to getting to grips with how technology works. If you don't enjoy the idea of constantly learning new things, then you're in the wrong place. So stop watching here. Number 2, get to know the basics of computing. You need to know the basics of how a computer system works. You don't have to be an expert, but find out what binary is and aim to understand as much about it as you can. Learn the basics of what goes on underneath the hood. Understanding what a computer chip does and the job it carries out within the computer system. Understand memory and how memory is utilized and the different types of memory that a computer uses. And get to know about logical gates and their function on a computer. That will help you understand programming languages and what they are doing. Know your operating system. It's important that you know your way around the current operating system that you're using, whether it's Windows, Mac OS, Linux or Unix, whichever one it is. Just make sure you understand and can work around those particular systems. Step number 3, learn logic. I often get asked, which is the best programming language? My simple answer is logic. Why? Because all programs and programming languages use logic. Computer tablets and phones are simply logical electronic machines that only understand how to do things in simple, logical steps. What gives them the power is how quickly and how many of these instructions they process in such a short space of time. You have to understand how you can break down a problem into the simplest steps that a computer can understand. Every problem can be broken down into smaller and basic routines, which when put together again perform complex instructions. By breaking down a problem, you can begin to build a solution. We first must know what we are trying to do, and in order to do that, we have to break it down into simple, logical units. Program design is crucial, and working on the design can save you a lot of time later in your program. Learn logic and design, and you can write code in any language. Step number 4, learn a programming language. It really doesn't matter which language you learn first, as over your years in the IT industry, you will have to learn many languages and technologies to keep on trend. The important part is to get the experience in writing and running code and getting some idea of computer languages. The main programming languages I would recommend are Java and C#, mainly because they're widely used object-oriented languages. And if you learn these, you'll learn how to write good code and give yourself a great start. Having said that, you can write rubbish code in any language. An easier language would be Python. Up and coming and widely used with plenty of libraries being written by other people. So it's usually a good start for beginners. If you're going to do a lot of work on the front end, i.e. work with the browser and on websites, then JavaScript may be the go-to language to begin with. However, beware, you can create some badly written code in JavaScript if you don't know what you're doing. The good thing about things like Java and C# is that you get the object-oriented principles to work with. My advice would be to stay away from C++. Maybe learn that later when you know about the principles of writing well-written object-oriented code. It's a very difficult language to master to begin with lots of different concepts. There are plenty of sites on the internet where you can pick up the basics of computer languages. So my advice and suggestion is dive in and give them a go. Choose one. However, a word of warning. They will not teach you everything you need to know about writing clean, interactive and flexible code. For that, you need experience and practice, and possibly someone to share their experience and knowledge with you. Step number 5, learn about databases and SQL. Data is a new currency in this world. All programs you're going to work with are going to work with data. They process data, they retrieve stored data, and they save processed data. You will need to have an idea as to how they do this and how any code that you write interacts with the database. The best place to start is relational databases because just about every organization has them. You have to understand that a business's data is its business. Lose their data and they lose their business. They have nothing. Begin by understanding how data is held and structured within these databases, and then begin to learn some SQL, which stands for Structured Query Language. There you'll find commands that allow you to manipulate, retrieve, sort and sift through all of this structured data. There are also databases called NoSQL databases, such as MongoDB. These store data in a slightly different way, and it would be useful for you to know the differences between the two and when you would use one instead of the other. But essentially, learning about relational databases is the place to start. Just by understanding and knowing how to work with databases is enough to get you into a position working for a company or organization, as it's a very powerful tool and used pretty much everywhere. So get in there and learn about databases. Step number 6, learn about test-driven development. Whilst you're learning, you may as well start here. With test-driven development, we write our tests first, then we write our code to pass the tests. Why is that important? Well, for several reasons. Number 1, most organizations use test-driven development, and to learn it will hold you in good stead. Secondly, thinking about your test first can help you to become clearer in your mind about what your code is supposed to be doing. When you write your code to pass your test, you'll find that you don't have much debugging to do at the end of your program. Not like it used to be, where you'd write your program and then test it and find all these bugs. So do yourself a favor and learn about test-driven development. Step number 7, learn how to use a repository. What's that, you may ask? Somewhere you can keep your code. An example of repositories, something like GitHub and Bitbucket, and these enable you to keep copies of each version of your code as you go through and make or add any changes. Your code is then held in a single repository, one place, and you can download any version of your code at any time. It's also useful if you want to store your work and you want to show people examples of what you've done. So as you build a portfolio, anybody can then download your work and see what you've actually done. It is a standard in the industry when you're working with others. When you're working on the same piece of code and different people are doing different things, then you must be able to save the different versions without losing other people's versions. So it will be a big benefit of you to learn early on in your career. So go ahead, open up a GitHub account and start saving your work. Step number 8, learn about N-tier applications. A tier means another layer. And these days, most applications you'll see are going to be written and spread over many layers. For example, a web application will have a front end, which is usually your browser, which then connects to the middle tier where you have some logic. And in this case, it'll probably be some sort of web server that knows how to work with the browser and use HTTP, which stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. The middle tier will be written in possibly a variety of languages, Java, C#, Python. That takes the information coming from the browser and interprets it and processes it. It usually does this by speaking to a back-end repository or a database server, which is usually on another server, another tier, somewhere else. This makes up 3 tiers. However, there could be many other tiers or level to this. And when you hear people talk about full stack development, they're talking about working on each of those different tiers. So learn about N-tier applications. Step number 9, learn about HTML, CSS and JavaScript. HTML and CSS are not really programming languages, they're formatting languages, which means they're used to style and format content on web pages. These are the tools that make up the front end, and it's what allows the browser to display the information and the layout of the pages in a meaningful and stylish way that we can understand. JavaScript, however, is, as its name suggests, a scripting language, and it's not generally used to write big systems, but mainly used to manipulate information and data on the web page, as well as send and receive information from the server. One thing to be aware of is that JavaScript as a language is growing all the time, and it's being used more and more software that runs on the internet, what we call software as a service. So JavaScript and its libraries such as jQuery, React, Angular and Node.js are growing all the time. Step number 10, get an idea of what web services are. Although I wouldn't say you have to build anything like that, but bonus points if you do, knowing what web services are and how they work in a simple way would be very useful for you. Application building is moving more and more towards this way, especially when you think about things like software as a service that's becoming more popular. And if you don't know what software as a service is, go and look it up. Step number 11, build applications. Use your knowledge. The more projects you undertake and the more apps you build, the more you have to show your prospective employer. Who wouldn't be impressed with a portfolio that shows you've been working hard and learning how to understand how to build things? Not only that, but you will be gaining good, solid, practical experience. Find someone who needs a small program written, whether it's a small website or whether it might be a small accounting package, but find someone who needs something built and then listen to what they want. Being able to create a program from their requirements is another good skill to have, as it proves you're great at listening and interpreting what users would like. And that's a very important skill and often underrated if you're in IT. You never know, it may also lead to making a little extra income. However, a word of warning, be careful. Don't take anything on that's too complex. And don't make any promises that you can't keep. The whole point of doing this is to gain experience and build your portfolio. So go ahead, build an application. Step 12, get some experience behind you. While it's okay to build applications that you've thought up or you found on the internet, it's much better to find a real life project to work on. Think about family, friends and local businesses that may be interested in having some sort of application. Being able to do that, take their requirements and write a program will show that not only can you build apps, but you can also understand what people's requirements are and take those requirements and put them into the necessary code, which shows that you've got the necessary communication skills to work with people, and that's important. So go out there, get experience. Step 13, find yourself a mentor. This will make your journey so much easier. Find someone who is already in the industry and who knows a little bit or a lot about IT. And it doesn't have to be just one person. They can guide you in what you need to learn and the best technologies to be working with, or even how to present yourself at an interview. The other good thing is they may be able to refer you to someone in the industry who can help you with job hunting. They can even give hints and tips on how to work smarter and help you when you're stuck on any problems. So go ahead, find yourself a mentor. You can also build up a little knowledge by finding out about what they do, how they got their job, what areas have they worked in, and what they would do differently if they were starting out on their career all over again. So go and find yourself 1 or 2 mentors. It will help a lot. Step 14, write a good CV. Along with the practical work, a good CV can show what experience you've had. List all the things that you've done that you feel might be useful to an employer. A possible employer wants to know what they're getting and not just about what technologies that you use. Show them on your CV, show them why they should employ you. You will always impress somebody by showing them how much effort you've put in off your own back. Employers want somebody who can solve problems because as an IT professional, that is what you will be doing throughout your whole career. So go ahead, put the interesting things down on your CV. Let your employer know what he's getting. Finally, step number 15. Practice, learn, and keep doing it. This is what you're going to be doing for the rest of your career in IT. So the more that you get into it now, the better. Technology is constantly changing and improving all the time. You've got to show that you're up to this and also keep your information and your knowledge up to date. So keep learning, keep practicing, go back to step 1 and do it all over again. That's the end of the 15 steps. You don't have to do them all in depth, you don't have to be an expert, but if you start on these 15 steps, the more you do, the quicker it'll be to get that employment in IT. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, click on the like button, and if you would like to watch more like it with information and help on learning more about computers and IT, click on the subscribe button and the notify button to keep you up to date when our new videos come out. And if you still need persuading, then download our free ebook, 13 Reasons Why You Should Learn How to Program for a Career in IT. Click on the links below for more information. And I wish you the best of success in starting your new career in IT.